The scooter boom? Who could have predicted it? Sure, a while ago business experts said the scooter market would grow, but no one expected a real boom. Well, no matter when or where it started, it's here, right now. And as a Honda technician, you're in the thick of it. Because Honda has been making small wheel, small displacement machines for years. Machines with great reputations for economy and reliability. And while scooters are relatively new to the US, the introduction of Honda's lineup last year is already changing that situation and changing the market. No doubt about it, scooters are here to stay. So get ready for a look at Honda's 1985 motor scooters, designed with the latest technology to meet the needs of a demanding world. After viewing this program, you'll be able to identify the technical features and service procedures that are new for Honda's 1985 motor scooters. Let's start with the all-new starship from Honda, the CH250 Elite. Honda's biggest scooter this year, with a full 244cc engine. While there are some similarities to last year's 125 Elite, like liquid cooling and externally adjustable valves, there are many differences you should know about, such as a heated carburetor with an air cutoff valve, emission controls, a maintenance-free battery, oleo-link engine mounts, and trailing link front suspension with anti-dive. The carburetor is heated with engine coolant to prevent carburetor icing when riding in cold, damp weather. The key to the carburetor heating system is the engine's thermostat. If the thermostat is stuck open, the carburetor may ice up under cold, damp riding conditions. This is a good place to look when a complaint arises. The thermostatic fan switch is also important because it senses engine coolant temperature and turns the electric cooling fan on and off as needed. Your shop manual shows you how to test both the thermostat and the switch. Another new feature for 85 is the air cutoff valve. Its job is to prevent exhaust popping when the throttle is closed and the scooter is decelerating. It cuts off air for the idle circuit, but only when the engine is decelerating. It doesn't affect the air supply when the engine is running in other modes. This small hose supplies vacuum to the air cutoff valve, so if a customer complains of popping during deceleration, inspect this line before testing the valve. A pinched or broken line could be the source of the complaint. If the vacuum line checks out okay, test the air cutoff valve with a vacuum pump. If the valve won't hold vacuum, check the O-ring under the valve cover. Replace it if necessary and retest the valve. If the valve still will not hold vacuum, replace the diaphragm. Check the valve diaphragm and spring for wear or damage. And don't overlook the O-ring in the cover. If it's damaged or missing, it may also cause popping during deceleration. Now let's look at the Elite's emission control systems. There's one for exhaust gases and one for crankcase vapors. And for California machines, there's also an evaporative control system for fuel vapors from the fuel tank. Exhaust emission control is achieved very simply with carefully calibrated carburetor settings. No adjustments should be made other than idle speed with the throttle stop screw. Idle fuel mixture adjustments, which are made by turning the pilot screw, are necessary only if the pilot screw is damaged and must be replaced. The crankcase emission control system routes vapors and gases from the crankcase through this breather separator into the air cleaner. From there, vapors are drawn into the engine and burned. Also, condensed crankcase vapors collect in this tube, which should be emptied every 2,500 miles or more often in wet conditions. And remember, anytime hoses are disconnected during service, check your shop manual for correct hose routing. The evaporative control system prevents raw fuel vapors from escaping to the atmosphere. Vapors from the fuel tank are routed to the charcoal-filled canister, where they're stored when the engine isn't running. When the engine is started, vacuum opens the purge valve, and the vapors are drawn into the intake tract and burned in the combustion chamber. This valve is tested just like the air cutoff valve by applying vacuum to one side and pressure to the other. Now let's look at the Elite's maintenance-free battery. In addition to the CH250, several other 1985 Honda motor scooters use these. There are a couple of important service points. First, use only the special electrolyte that comes with the battery. Regular electrolyte has a different specific gravity and won't allow the battery to perform at its full capability. Also, the special container holds the exact amount required. After adding the electrolyte, wait 10 minutes before sealing the battery. This allows the electrolyte to draw out the battery's full electrochemical potential. Next, check the battery label. If it's less than 2 years old, it won't require charging. However, if it's older, slow charge it at the rate shown on the label. When we said the CH250 is all new, we weren't kidding. Just look at this engine mount design. It's called an oleolink mount, and it keeps road shocks and engine vibration from reaching the rider. Let's see how it works. There are two keys to understanding this design. The first is that it's not only the front engine mount, it's also the rear suspension's main pivot point. The second key is that there are 3 suspension pivot points, links A and B, and the front engine mount. In this view, you can see that movement at links A and B is limited by rubber dampers. Their real job is to absorb vibration. Actual suspension travel occurs down at the engine mount pivot. Here, movement is limited only by the travel of the rear shock absorbers. Some of these parts need special care. For example, the engine mount collars should be inspected and lubricated with moly disulfide grease each time the unit is disassembled. And remember to use new O-rings on the collars whenever they're removed. Worn or damaged O-rings could allow the grease to leak out.